Edition of Smarknado. I'm your host, Eric Druckman. With me, as always, the Danaconda, Dan Cesnit. Dan, how are you doing today, man?
I am not flexing on you. I am stretching. It's every day is a blur, my man. Every day is a blur, but a good blur, a blur I am grateful for at all times. But good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Just did some of my own flexing earlier today for a workout, but
Flex on them.
yeah, not theoretically flexing, as the kids like to say. But yeah, I'm just really fucking excited for this week, man. We're going to talk about it, but I thought that was one of the all-time best go-home Raws before WrestleMania, just top to bottom. I think they just absolutely knocked it out of the park. So we're definitely going to talk on that about that today. You know, AEW is taking a little bit of a backseat this week, and it should be expected. It is WrestleMania week.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
normal. I expected to be WWE heavy this week for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. WWE heavy and everything kind of surrounding WrestleMania weekend. And we're going to touch on some indie shows that are going to be happening not only today, but also on Thursday's show too. So want to get as much of that in as we can.
Sure.
But let's just start off. Let's get our AEW talk in first. I think that the most notable thing that we should mention from Collision this past week was Matt Cardona answering the challenge of Adam Copeland. And you know what's weird is I kind of thought about it in my head for a bit when he had someone answering the challenge, and I kind of thought it would be somebody on the outside. And of course, everybody knows the connection that Matt Cardona has with Edge. Of course, him and Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins were the original Edge heads back in the day, dressed like Edge. So
big tattoos and all.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was really cool to see that very big full circle moment. Fucking hung in there with Edge too, and with Copeland. I'm never gonna get used to calling him Adam Copeland, just never.
And I understand that. I think it's funny that he's exactly who you wanted, right? Because you were like, I hope it's an indie guy, and like he's like the indie guy right now, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
indie wrestler of the year, 2 years in a row or some shit like that.
Yeah,
I mean, hey, it's a fan vote still, so it's interesting. I like it.
Very cool, man, and a hell of a match too. And I thought that
15 minutes or something.
Yeah, I thought that Cardona really showed out, and I think that Cardona, as much as he is an attraction based on his personality, his gimmick, and who he has become, as in terms of like his following and whatnot. But he's a great bell-to-bell wrestler, and I think that he very much showed it here. And for a second there, I thought that Copeland was actually going to lose.
I mean, I won't go that far. I didn't think that was going to be. That would be real bad. I mean, that would give his reign all of like less than 24 hours total for two reigns. Well, no, my math is bad, but you know what I mean. Not very long. So, yeah, no, that would be bad. Fantastic match. The right way to kick it off. Big, huge pop for Cardona because, like I said, he is the indie guy, but he's still a name, right? So, and I love that for him, that he's just doing so well on the indies, and he's proven to be sort of the template of what one of these ex WWE guys, and well, truth be told, one of these ex AEW guys, when the time comes, can do money wise on the indies. It's very impressive.
For sure, man. Happy to see that match. Overall, though, I thought Collision was a solid show. We had some of the tag team matches. We didn't get the infantry match that I really wanted to see, but still a good showing nonetheless against the Revival FTR.
Yeah, it felt stunted somehow, some way. Not. I don't think it was through fault of either team at all. Maybe it was too short. Maybe it was whatever. It felt rushed. It felt stunted. Something felt just off with the timing on it. To me, and that's just again that could just have been timing because I really like both of the teams in the ring, especially. So.
And just as we had predicted too, Top Flight went over Big Bill and Ricky Starks, which I thought was great. And it makes when is the future of Ricky Starks?
The rumor was that it was supposed to be Big Bill and Ricky Starks, and an audible was called
because Ricky got injured.
Because Ricky looked as though he was injured at the time, and it looked like a pretty nasty bump. Everything,
he wasn't moving.
I mean, all reports are that he's fine.
Okay.
Right. So, I think we would know by now if there was something majorly wrong, and I've not read anything. Not to say that I'm special by any account, but I try and keep up as current as possible, and I've seen nothing to that effect. So,
well, that's good. We never want to see anyone get injured, especially someone the incredible talent level of Ricky Starks, and I hope there's more for him in AEW because I think just a year ago, you think back, he won the Owen Hart. There was just so much momentum behind him, and where he's at right now, I don't think either of us could have predicted that he would have taken such a fall.
I will say, man, I think he's cut out to be main roster if he were to end up in WWE. I do. I also think he's a guy that could elevate NXT in a way that a lot of outsiders couldn't. Absolutely. So if he does end up in the WWE system, I hope that he goes through NXT. Not that he needs the seasoning. I think that NXT needs him, not vice versa.
Yes, he would be able to bring up the other talent to another level. He would be incredible. In the same way that, even though he's only been there for a short time, in the same way that Shawn Spears is currently doing in NXT.
In the same way that, I mean, like him or hate him, Baron Corbin has done in NXT, right? So there's a handful of guys that have come in that veteran role, guys that have been on the main roster or that could be on the main roster that can fill that. I mean, Ricky is an otherworldly talent, but if he does end up in the WWE, under that umbrella, I hope it's at NXT. And again, that's not because I think he doesn't deserve there. I just want him in NXT because I'd like to see him against some of that talent.
For sure.
I think it'd be incredible.
Stroke Daddy versus Trick Willie.
Yeah. Absolutely. Or against Ilya for that matter.
Yeah, that'd be nuts. But yeah, let's just talk about Raw, man, because I thought that this was an absolute fucking home run for the WWE here. It starts off with The Rock addressing, the kids at home. He showed the video of the kids at home that were crying after beating up Cody. And he basically just shoved it right in all their faces again, as a typical heel would. And I love it. I love that he's not going out there to apologize or make good. He's doubling down. And
as he should. He knows the business. He's not a dummy. If he's gonna be a heel, he's got to go all the way with it, and I'd imagine that it's probably pretty difficult for him. He's a guy that is pretty well known to thrive on being liked, right? So, especially a Disney guy, a movie star, he wants people to like him. He wants to be popular. So to have him openly booed is probably pretty tough on his ego, I would say, especially after Black Adam. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But this is it's definitely something I don't think any of us have ever really seen from The Rock.
This is, I was thinking about it, man, and even though he hasn't had a match yet, this is this might be my favorite run I've seen from The Rock. Is that crazy?
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right. Well, I mean,
some of this stuff he did.
How about in the last 20 years? Hmm? I think it's better than any of the shit that he did with Cena. I think it's better than any of the comeback shit that he did with like Mick Foley or anything like that, you know? I think this might be even better than the original Hollywood Rock heel turn. I really do.
I'm gonna
Like
have to disagree with you there.
Yeah.
I want to see a match first. I want to
Mm-hmm.
see how he moves in the ring, and I'd be willing to bet he's gonna be okay. I was skeptical at first, but all this time without having a match, if he's not training, that's a disservice.
At least he's gotten
to the
physical.
fans.
He's gotten physical to give us some faith in how his performance is going to be.
Yeah. That's a disservice to the fans. He should come back better than he was, because let's be fair, he was never the best wrestler. Like, he was not a bell-to-bell work rate guy. He should come back better because wrestlers are better now.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully he can. Hopefully he can do.
The Rock's never going to be a Hurricane Rana.
I won't say a Hurricane Rana, but hopefully he can come back and work a style with these younger guys that Edge is doing, right? Like that kind of thing, right? Edge was a better wrestler than The Rock, hands down, but I would still hope that he has honed that part of his craft a little bit more, considering the way work rate is looked upon now more than ever.
Well, it remains to be seen too if how many matches Rock is actually going to have, but we'll see it all through. I think that a really good thing about this opening segment is that Seth Rollins came out and he cut off Reigns and Rock, and for once, with the whole dynamic of the four guys that are going to be in the tag team match, Rock, Roman, Cody, and Seth, this was the one time where I feel that Seth has not looked like a total dope and actually looked like awesome and was like telling off the whole bloodline and just like, telling them they don't have any balls. And I think that he had the fans behind him. They were totally behind, because I think by that point, the fans were not behind The Rock anymore. But I thought that this was the best showing for Rollins going into Mania.
Yes, he's looked like a bit of a bitch mostly.
Yes,
I will agree with you that he's looked a little bit better in this segment than he has in prior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was good for The Rock to turn down that match too, because that also got the fans to turn on him.
Again, the man knows what he's doing.
Absolutely. So we're not going to go through Raw like segment by segment, but
thank you.
Just kind of going through and seeing in the order that it all came up. We really have to mention the video package with Sami Zayn and Chad Gable.
I thought that was the highlight of the show.
I don't blame you, man. Like I thought that it was so different and outside the box from what WWE normally does.
This was, I'll say this to me, and this was more cinematic, quote unquote, than I felt like the Rock Cody segment was. Truthfully.
Well, I can see that because of the filming style of it. And they actually did a montage.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Again, but it was genuinely like it was made to feel cinematic. It was made to feel that way. And I thought it was good. I thought it felt realistic. It was a really good vignette. I thought it helped carry the story forward, and later on more happened between it, but man, I just thought it was really cool. It looked cool.
It very much did. And I love the line of Gable saying to Sami that, you work best when people are what's the I said I love the line, then I don't remember the line.
Something to the effect of being an underdog, but I don't remember.
Yeah. He works best when he is an underdog and people don't believe in him. So that's why Gable was being such a shithead to Sami at first. Then it drove Sami to work harder than ever. I thought that when they cued to Sammy's wife, Sammy's son, and then the reactions of Chad Gable's daughter when he lost to Gunther, it just like really brought a strong emotional connection to this match. Yeah, man, this was awesome. And then obviously this was followed by Sami Zayn versus Bronson Reed. My expectation going into this match is that Sammy was going to avenge Bronson Reed because he had lost to him a couple weeks before with help from Gunther. But I did not see it coming with Gunther just coming out there with a like knocked out Chad Gable, and then he beats the shit out of Sami Zayn. And it was big time heat for Gunther. And I thought this was really, really good shit. Dan? It's like Dan's having some technical difficulties. Please stand by. Yeah, so I thought this was really well done, and I'm more looking forward to the match between Sammy and Gunther than I was previously, and I was already really much looking forward to it. Dan? Okay, hold on a sec, guys. Dan, you there? All right, hold on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. What happened? We'll have to edit this out.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, I'm back.
What happened?
My headphones died and my other headphones died, and I apologize to everybody out there, but let's continue.
Okay. All right. So Sammy and Bronson, Sammy. Oh, okay. I kind of lost my train of thought a little bit. What did you think of just the results of this match with Gunther coming out there?
I think at the end of the day, Gunther is a final boss for real, for real. Like, I half expected him to beat Sammy with Chad Gable, like human on human beating. I love the way this feud has gone. Do you think that somehow, some way, this turns into a triple threat come this weekend?
I do not, but it makes me think to myself: does Chad Gable cost Sami Zayn the Intercontinental Championship? And the reason why I think that is because it goes back to Chad Gable originally saying it just means more to me for this match. So maybe he's thinking to himself, if it can't be me, it can't be anybody.
What if he costs Gunther the title, and that causes a feud between Sammy and Chad?
I That would just leave a sour taste in my mouth, man, just because like this title reign, it needs to end like respectfully. I don't want there to be any kind of shenanigans for this title change, you know? If Vince was in the back, I could see that happening.
You don't want any shenanigans for the title change, but you want Sammy to get cost the title, not Gunther.
Yeah, because Gunther is still he's had some tainted victories before, but he's still gone on to keep the championship. I just think that people are always going to remember how somebody won the title and how somebody lost the title. You know, they're not going to remember as much given title defenses, although they are amazing. I don't see that scenario happening. I see a more likely scenario where Chad Gable costs Sammy.
I mean, I'm intrigued because I think it could go either way. It's one of the matches on the card that I really do think could go either way, honestly.
For sure. All right. So going through this show a little bit more, I thought that the Drew McIntyre promo package was really good. He just basically scorched earth on everybody.
He is just a villain of villain proportions, right? Like he is so.
But he's the villain that tells the truth, tells it like it is.
I know that's the best kind.
Yeah,
because a lot of villains sadly do. It's just how they look to change it that makes them a villain. You know, it's the method behind the madness, not necessarily the madness. But I liked the Ricochet Ivar match, honestly, man. Like it was a really classic big guy, little guy match, and Ricochet is just otherworldly.
You know what that match made me remember?
What's that?
The classic opening match to not stand and deliver NXT New York before the WrestleMania that we went to of the Viking Raiders,
Malachi and Ricochet, right?
and Malachi, yeah. And I thought that was one of the best matches of the weekend, and I thought that there were elements of that match that were displayed in this one-on-one match. And the rumor is that for this Twitter show that they're going to come out with, WWE Speed, the rumored first champion is going to be Ricochet. And you know, obviously as a wrestling purist, I'm not really one for very, very short matches, but it's a sad reality that we live in a time of people with very, very short attention spans.
I hated the idea, and then I found something out that makes me love it. Pete Dunne is the producer of these matches.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm intrigued. That's what I've read. The report is that he's the one that's producing all these speed matches. So, I'm gonna give it a chance because that's my boy.
Sure, man, and I'm sure that he's gonna be featured on the show too. I could see him tangling it up with them. But yeah, let's just cut right to the main event. We had Rollins against Solo, the match that nobody wanted in the arena, honestly. But it happened anyway. So Solo can still really work well. Obviously, Rollins got the win here.
It was just all a vehicle to get Cody Rhodes in a huge pop in the Go Home Raw. That's really that was the entire idea behind this match.
Definitely.
But I love
it. Huge pop for Cody. And Rollins and him were going to take out The Rock on a table. But then Roman showed up, and basically from there, Rock and Roman just beat the shit out of Cody and Seth. And I think that is that's the necessary last scene we need to see before WrestleMania. And even though I think that the Bloodline is going to win that tag team match, you kind of have to have the, oh no, I think we're doomed type feeling for the hero, because I think ultimately it's going to be Bloodline rules, but Cody's going to play by his own rules, bring in his own reinforcements, and he's going to win the championship.
I mean, it's Twitter might break if Cody doesn't win, and I know that Twitter is not the real world, but like, there's gonna be a lot of crying kids at home if Cody doesn't win.
Absolutely.
But that being said, I still do think Cody's gonna win. So there's a spoiler on where I might land.
For sure, man. I think Cody is going to win. But yeah, we'll Dan.
I just do hope it's bloodline rules. I hope that they give Cody the option to play by the same rules, and it comes to fruition.
Yeah, it needs to be like Avengers Endgame, pretty much. Yeah. All right, so let's preview NXT Stand and Deliver. This is one of the big shows that is happening this weekend. I believe it's happening Saturday morning,
11:30 a.m., and that is what I am most excited for.
Yeah. I think that's the same time as Big Gay Brunch, too. So they have Big Gay Brunch has some rough competition.
Big Gay Brunch is at the same time? Ah, damn it.
So. Yeah.
I can screen that. That's easy enough. Nobody's going to be up in my house, probably.
For sure. But let's do our classic who we think is going to win and who we want to win for this card, all right?
Yeah.
First of all, we got Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker defending the NXT Tag Team Championships against the tournament winners of the I guess it's down to the OC, Axiom, and Nathan Frazier and LWO.
Yeah.
You know who I hope wins this is Axiom and Nathan Frazier.
I hope Axiom and Nathan Frazier win too. I have a sneaking suspicion that the OC is going to win.
That's so lame.
I didn't say that that's what I wanted. I just said that that's the sneaking suspicion that I have.
Yeah, it's not a bad prediction, but yeah. I think that Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker drop the championships simply because Braun has already been called up to the main roster.
Yeah. I agree.
All right.
They definitely lose to whoever wins the tournament.
Yep. NXT Women's Championship, we have Lyra Valkyria defending against Roxanne Perez, newly heel Roxanne Perez. I'm going to go Roxanne here, and I think that Roxanne should win too.
Me too. It makes the most sense. I feel like she never technically lost the title, right? If I'm not mistaken. She had to relinquish. So I think this is her final, sort of climb up the mountain. She's had a couple of shots at it, or at least one that I know of. So I do think Roxanne ultimately wins.
I agree. All right, next for the NXT North American Championship, Obafemi defending against Dijak and Josh Briggs. I definitely think Obafemi is going to retain here, but I absolutely want Dijak to win.
I don't think Dijak is going to win. I think Obafemi retains, and I want him to retain. I just want him to be dominant. I don't like that's what I mean. But these triple threats, I never really like putting my money on anybody, right?
Josh Briggs is there to take the pin.
Yeah, he's there to take the pin, but who pins him, right? So I don't know. Dijak's another one of those guys that's just come to NXT and done such good shit. Again. So Obafemi wins.
Yeah.
All right, Dijak.
Next, I have for the NXT Championship. I'm going to cover this one because I don't think it's going to be the main event, man.
It's not. They've already said it.
Oh, good. And I love Ilya Dragunov. He deserves everything in the world, but the other match deserves more. Ilya Dragunov defending against Tony D'Angelo. Jesus fucking Christ! It
doesn't make any sense. Wins. I like Tony D'Angelo for what he is. It's just he just kind of out of left field. He's the challenger here.
Yeah, they just threw him in there out of nowhere.
I would have rather seen another Dijak Dragunov match and put Tony D'Angelo in the triple threat for the North American, right? Something in
Yeah.
that effect. But it doesn't make sense to me. That's no disrespect. It felt real shoehorned.
I feel all the disrespect from me for Tony D'Angelo.
Well,
I don't think he deserves to be in this spot at all.
I try not to be a fuckhead for no reason. To Tony D'Angelo. I mean, he's just a dude.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tony D.
But I don't believe in him, to be honest. I don't see it. I really don't. And I think that is such a silly, over the top gimmick. I think that the backstage segments with them, it's people cosplaying as the Sopranos.
Yeah.
It's just so eye roll inducing to me.
My friend, go back and look at the era that Shawn Michaels was in. He's booking the same type of shit. Like it's all the same type of shit. I mean, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't mind Tony D'Angelo. I think he's okay.
I don't mind Tony D'Angelo as a mid-carder.
Yeah. He's a mid to upper mid-carder. I could definitely see him with a North American title run or a tag team title run again. No question asked. But to me, I don't want to see him against Dragunov. Especially because I don't know that he's the best choice as far as workers are concerned on that roster, right?
No, he's definitely not. And he's not terrible.
No, he's not.
He's not in the upper echelon of wrestlers there.
Sure.
All right, and then finally the main event, and I'm surprised this doesn't have a stipulation, bro. But we have Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes, and it's gonna be Trick. There's no question.
It has to be. It has to be. This is going to be his crowning sort of moment, his achievement. The crowd's going to go nuts. I don't know if it's going to ultimately be Carmelo showing him respect or whatever it ends up being, but I think Carmelo's main roster bound. If I gun to my head, I would say, right? I think you agree with me on that. But this is Trick's time.
Absolutely. I don't know where Carmelo stands on the main roster. I feel like I read something recently where he's going to be in NXT for a little bit longer.
Okay.
But we'll see how that all plays out. And I wonder if he goes to the main roster as a babyface or he stays a heel.
Hard to tell.
Should be interesting. But overall, I think NXT has a pretty solid card. I like it when NXT has a small, they stay true to their brand. They have a nice small card with really good matches, and I'm looking forward to it.
And it's on at 11:30 in the morning. It's the best, bro. Like more pay-per-views Saturday and Sunday afternoon. It's not like we won't fucking watch them. Like NFL is on at 1:00 in the afternoon for a reason. Like I'm not saying compete with them, but the majority of the games aren't on prime time. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
they still get ratings. We would still be watching them. So I don't know, man. It's mind-boggling to me that somebody hasn't been like, wake up, because I don't think that the sponsors would care that much. I think you're going to get the same amount of buys, that I don't tend to care about at noon, as especially Peacock. I'm going on a rant now. I digress. Continue.
I hear you, bro. And we're going to pine for it more and more as we get older.
Oh my God. Doesn't get any easier.
Let's just talk about a couple indie shows that are coming up too. We'll do our classic, who we want to win, who we think is going to win. First of all, Mark Hitchcock Memorial Super Show, WrestleCon Super Show 2024. We'll watch this at some point. I don't know if we necessarily have access to it yet, but
always one of the best indie cards of the weekend.
Yeah. First of all, we have the FBI, Little Guido, Tommy Rich, and Tony Mama Luke against Los Boricuas. Huracan Castillo Jr., Jose Estrada, Miguel Perez Jr., and Savio Vega. I think that's all the OGs from the WWF.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it's going to be really bad.
I think it is too. I think it is. Who do you think is going to be the FBI's mystery tag team partner?
Oh, for fuck's sake, I don't know, man.
I got a prediction. Luigi Primo.
It fits. It fits.
It would fit. Yeah. And then we have a 10-man tag team match: Averno, Cavernario, Mystico, Star Jr., and Viano 3 Jr. versus Dragon Gates, Ben K, Dragon Kid, Kota Minoura, Shun Skywalker, and Yamato. I don't know. I just think it's going to be a fun match.
I think it's going to be Team CMLL. Man, yeah, that's a heck of a booked card. Getting a full Dragon Gate slate and a full CMLL slate, and we all know Mystico's a draw, so it's going to be fun as fuck. Very, very clashing of styles, but I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. And then we have a singles match, Nick Nemeth versus Joey Janela. I'm going to go with Nemeth here, but I think that Nick gets on the microphone and he puts over Joey.
Man, like Joey Janela is such a mystery to me because it feels like half the time people just hate this guy's guts, but the other half he's just revered by so many. And I think it's I just don't know what the true story about this guy is. He's an enigma. But he's a hell of a wrestler, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves.
I think it's just people just can't get it out of their own head that he was, labeled as a deathmatch wrestler as soon as he got into AEW. I don't think he was necessarily taking care of himself that well when he was in AEW either.
Maybe
but
not.
going into his time in AEW, we already kind of had seen him put on really good matches, and I think that he had that extra chip on his shoulder once he left AEW and has really shown out. But I think that people are always going to remember his lackluster AEW run, and that's going to unfortunately overshadow a lot of the good things that he's done.
Yeah.
So
I try not to think about his AEW run truthfully, but I try to think about his success with things like Spring Break, and we're going to talk about that later on this week. It's man, I like Joey, and I think he's one of those dudes that just has the indies figured out, much like Cardona, right? And doesn't necessarily need an AEW or a WWE to build the Janela machine, or an Effie for that matter. You know what I mean? These are guys that have just figured it the fuck out.
Absolutely. And then next we had a Philadelphia street fight, Sami Callihan versus Paul Walter Hauser. I think this is just going to be,
silly.
fun silliness, maybe Paul Walter Hauser will bleed.
I think Paul Walter Hauser wins, and I definitely think he bleeds.
I think he gets some help from his friends, like
DDP. Probably, but no, I think it's funny that it's called the Philadelphia Street Fight because it just always reminds me of that Ricky Starks tweet where it's like he quote tweets Brian Cage where he's like, "Where's the Philly street fight at?" And he's like, "In Philly, you big dumb bitch." It's just such a classic Starks tweet that every time I see Philly street fight, I laugh at that tweet in my head. But continue, please.
All right, and then we have two bangers here, man. We got Rob Van Dam versus Speedball Mike Bailey. I think Mike Bailey goes over here, but it's going to be a hell of a fucking match.
Do you really think Bailey goes over? I think RVD goes over. I don't know why. I just have that feeling. I think Bailey will put him over.
I think that these ECW guys are going to put over most of the talent that they work with. I just got a feeling. And I think Bailey deserves it. And then we got Josh Alexander versus Masato Tanaka, which is really going to fuck.
Jesus Christ.
Holy shit. And
where is this show on? Let me see. I'm trying to find
it's at on highspots.tv.
It's on High Spots. Okay.
Yeah. But maybe we'll find another way, wink, wink, to watch it.
I'm sure that there is some way somehow that it can be watched, but I am I'm digging this card. I've looked through a lot of cards. I sent you the link today. I don't know if you looked through it all the way, but it has every single show.
Yeah, which show has Guido versus Tajiri versus Super Crazy?
I don't know. I'd have to dig into that.
Yeah,
But
I'm interested.
there's a lot of old school ECW wrestling going on this year in Philly. So if that's what you're looking for, believe me, you're gonna find it easy enough.
Yeah. All right, so let's go over the card from Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 10, which is going to be taking place also on Thursday. Wow, this is a really great card. Let's start it off with two guys that we're both very familiar with, Akira versus Matt Makowski. I got Makowski.
Yeah, I have Mikowski too, but I think that Akira, with every single match, is just more and more putting his name. I mean, I know a lot of people know him, but it just feels like he gets bigger and bigger with every match, and I think he's going to show out here too.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a super fucking tough dude, and I'm intrigued to watch this. But I think Mikowski ultimately gets the pin here. But Akira looks real good in the meantime.
I think Mikowski gets the tap out here.
Tap out.
Yeah. Then we have Eric Hammer versus Lou Nixon. I'd be lying if I said I knew either of these guys, so I don't fucking know. Hopefully they fight well.
I don't. We're going to check them out, though.
Yep. We have Nick Nemeth versus Mike Bailey.
This might be the most intriguing match on the whole card.
Agreed, because, like, it is, because I think we're going to see a lot of the amateur wrestling skills of Nick Nemeth here.
Yeah, but I don't know what kind of technician Mike Bailey is. To me, and I love Speedball, but I've never really looked at him as a grappler like that, right? A technician.
Well, last year he faced Kota Ibushi, remember?
Yeah.
So he it's not his first time at Bloodsport. He's before that he faced Yuya Uemura.
Yeah.
It's not his first rodeo. So I think he'll make it. If anyone can make it work, it's Mike Bailey.
I still have a hard time,
You have a hard time believing Mike Bailey is a tough guy? Dan? Looks like Dan froze. So while he gets his situation figured out, I'm just going to continue to go down this card. Next, we have Minoru Suzuki versus Royce Isaacs. Man, this is going to be a hell of a match here. I think that Minoru Suzuki goes over, but I think that Royce Isaacs has really been opening some eyes in his last handful of performances at Bloodsport. So I think it's going to be a really good performance from him, but Suzuki goes over.
Royce Isaacs is a badass, and if Suzuki doesn't win, I'll eat my shoe.
Next, we have Josh Barnett versus Johnny Bloodsport, Johnny TV, Johnny Nitro.
The gimmick will never not get over with me. I'm sorry. I think it's funny every time.
Yeah, I got Barnett here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Next, we have the Battle of the Astronauts, Takuya Nomura versus Fuminori Abe. I'm going to go Nomura, I guess.
I'm going to go Abe just because I like to be contrarian, and why not?
Classic Dan.
That's
and then
me.
We have Axel Tischer, the former Alexander Wolf from WWE, facing off against Timothy Thatcher, two former members of Ring Kampf going at it here. Timothy Thatcher is who I have.
I have Timothy Thatcher here too, but I do love me some Axel Tischer, and I think that this is going to be a low-key,
they're going to push each other to the limit.
What's that?
They're going to push each other to the limit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thatcher does every time. There's just something about these Bloodsport matches and Thatcher that just and everything about him, man. I don't know. He just fits the bill to me.
For sure. And then finally, which I am assuming is going to be the main event, Masha Slamovich going one-on-one with WWE's Shayna Baszler. I can't help but say it's of course I want Masha to win. She's my favorite. But I think that Baszler goes over here. And you know what this made me think too? Like I'm kind of surprised that there aren't more WWE guys that don't really have anything going on WrestleMania weekend that aren't popping up on more cards.
Yeah.
That's what I would have liked to see. Maybe Cedric Alexander or someone like that,
I would have liked to have seen Masha Slamovich in the Royal Rumble. Fuck it.
Yeah, maybe we'll see that.
upset.
Bro, we can see that next year. That just might happen. Stay in
I
age.
dude, wrestling is so cool right now, man.
Yeah, it is.
Who just thunk it? Like, do we love Shayna Baszler in WWE? No, she's not been the best. Her NXT run, legendary. Loved it. Her WWE run has been.
I think that if there's anyone that can rehab Shayna Baszler and bring her back to like the top, it's Triple H, though.
Yeah.
Like, because I think that the majority of Shayna Baszler's WWE run was due to the fact that Vince was in charge.
I want to stop you there. I want to stop you there just for the sake of argument. I don't want you to start thinking Triple H can rehab everybody's image. I think that a lot of times I think you get a little bit wishful thinking when it comes to Triple H. I don't think he has this magic wand where everybody that comes back is just going to be
not everybody, but I think that Shayna, due to her credibility in MMA and due to her look and who she is in the ring, she has a lot of like real life credentials.
Cool. How long has Triple H been in charge for?
I don't know, a year.
Okay. And when was the last time we talked about Shayna Baszler?
I'm saying that he has the ability to do it. I'm not saying that like he has done it.
No, I'm not saying, but what I'm saying is I don't think he has the strength and ability that or the faith in that ability that you do necessarily. He's done a good job, and don't get me wrong, if we're talking about firing on all cylinders, Raw, SmackDown, everything's been really good. This build to WrestleMania since Royal Rumble has all been really great. Even with the injuries and everything that's going on, like it's been phenomenal. I'm not taking anything away from him. I just also want people to come back down to earth in that regard, where he's not a miracle worker. He's just, he's gotten hot. There's been times when Tony Khan's got hot. There was times when Eric Bischoff was hot. There's been lots of times. Let's sustain the momentum. That's all I'm saying.
He's not a miracle worker, but I don't think it necessarily takes a miracle to rehab Shayna Baszler based on who she is and her accomplishments.
Okay, maybe miracle worker wasn't the best term. I just don't think he's going to rehab all of our former favorites.
Yeah, miracle worker. Shout out to Helen Keller.
Okay, go on.
Okay. All right. So amazing cards so far, guys. We're going to leave everybody today with all that, but we are going to be back on Thursday. We're going to talk about a lot more with all of you. And God, hope you guys all fucking enjoy this week that we have coming up. As always, follow us on Instagram at Smarknado, on Twitter at Smarknado1. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And go check out our Linktree. Go check out our YouTube channel. Go check out our What a Maneuver store.
New designs coming soon in pocket. Just have to send them off to the printers. Go out, cop one, cop two, cop three. We got mouths to feed out here. Well, I got mouths to feed. And if we're all set here, Eric, I would say to all, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Keep watching wrestling.